Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kim Poe. I am the Children and Young Adult Consultant with the Connecticut State Library. Thank you for joining us today to talk about Sparkler and Connecticut Libraries. I am going to turn this whole situation over to Megan from Sparkler, who's going to be presenting with us today. We also have Julia, the Executive Director, I think that's your title, Julia, of Sparkler. Feel free to drop any questions in the chat that you all have along the way. We will toss any clarifying questions to Megan along the way. We'll save anything else for the end. But this is definitely the time to ask any questions you might have had about Sparkler, early childhood education, the supports that they're able to provide. And I'm really excited to share them all with you guys today. So, Megan, go right on ahead.
Thank you. Hi, guys. I'm Megan. I am Family and Community Engagement Specialist with Sparkler. Um, so I'll go ahead and get started. So I'll give you guys a little bit of an introduction to what Sparkler is, how families can use it, and we'll talk a little bit about how libraries are currently using it, how you might want to use it, and then I'll leave some time for some questions at the end. So why Sparkler is created, sort of what it is. So first of all, it's free for all families that are in Connecticut and for providers to use it. The Office of Early Childhood funds it, so there is never a cost to use it. So basically, we are leveraging the power of using your cell phone to give more families access to screening and information about their child's development. So through Sparkler, we're hoping more and more families will be able to understand their child's development, learn how to play with their kids, why play is important, and then really help them build connections with supports that are available to them in the state and hopefully make it easier for them to access those supports. So Sparkler is an app for families. There's a few parts to Sparkler. So the main thing I think that most people know about Sparkler is that we have the developmental screenings on there for families. So we have the ages and stages questionnaires. There's the ASP3 and the ASQ, the social emotional screening. So families can use that right on their phone to check on their child's development. There's one available every few months based on your child's age, all the way up until 5.5. And then in addition to the screenings, there's also, and I'll go more in depth into this in a little bit, but there's tons of play ideas to use with your kids. There's nothing on the app that children play. So the app is really for parents. It's to teach parents about their child. It's to teach parents how to play with their child, give them ideas of how to play with their child, but nothing on the app is for a child to use, just to clarify that. And then the app also has a huge library of evidence-based tips for parents on all sorts of early childhood topics. And then there's also a connection portion of the app where you can families can connect with professionals. So a child development specialist from 211, or if they're connected to their school or pediatrician or home visitor, they can connect with their provider that way as well. So for families, the way they can get started, the app is available in, I might need to turn off my video. Sometimes my Wi-Fi lags if I have my video on while I'm sharing my screen. Okay, hopefully that makes it better. So families can download the app in the Apple Play or Apple Store, Google Play. They just search Sparkler, it'll pop up. We also have QR codes that they can scan to make it easier to find where it is. Anyone in Connecticut can access everything on Sparkler just by using the CT code. So when you download the app, it'll ask you for an access code, and if you put in the code CT, you'll have access to everything that's available. So this is what the app looks like on the home screen for families. So up here, you can have, these are your different child profiles. So you can have as many kids as you want in there. When you toggle back and forth between profiles, it will adjust to the child's age. So everything that populates will be adjusted to your child's age. So play activities get adjusted, all of that. And we also have a prenatal version of the app, so families can start using it prenatally as well. And so you can have prenatal profiles on there. So the content will vary based on your child's age. From here, you can also click into the screenings, and then all of the different navigation tabs are down there. So I'll show you. So this is what the screening looks like for families. It's going to ask them questions about what they see their child doing. Um, Sometimes it'll be like check boxes. Sometimes there'll be spots to fill in answers, but it's going to ask them questions about their child's like gross motor, so like big muscle development, fine motor, how they're using their hands. Um, you created a profile of your stuff there, George. I will talk about creating test accounts. Um, it'll ask questions about like how they solve problems, their communication, how are they talking, how are they understanding things, all of that. And then once the family completes the screening, they'll click submit and it will go to the 211 child development and child development specialist will reach out to them. They'll send them this really detailed report on their child's development. It'll show them exactly where their child is in their development in each domain based on what the parents said in their responses. So you can see here, like this is the arrow, and so it'll show you where they are in their communication, gross motor, fine motor, problem solving, personal social skills, and then it'll give some recommendations about activities to do to support each developmental area and like what to look out for next. So, and this doesn't populate immediately. So the family will submit it and then 211 reaches out with the results because we just don't want families to get results without understanding what they mean. So, like if their child was scoring way down here and refer on multiple areas, we don't want them reading that by themselves and panicking. We want like someone to be walking them through it and helping them understand the context of what it might mean. So that's how it works when a family submits a screening. So it calculates it automatically. Like I said, the results will go to the provider. In a lot of cases, like if you're giving families the CT code, it's going to 211 child development. Sometimes you might run into families who are already using Sparkler with a provider. So a lot of daycares use Sparkler, home visitors use Sparkler, some pediatricians. So they may already have someone else that's following up with them. So in that case, someone else might be following up with them. But whoever the provider is, they'll be sharing the results with the families. And then whoever is responsible for sharing the results helps the families connect to whatever they might need. So if they scored um, and refer and there's some concerns about the child's development, they'll get 211 can connect them to birth to three. They'll help them do a referral. They can connect them to public school, special education services. They can connect them to a WIC program. They could literally anything. So anything the family needs, 211 is going to help them get connected to. And then also in the app, so we have the screening, but we also have tons of play ideas. And the way that we break up our play, we have four different domains, and it's sort of we sort of use like family friendly language for early childhood domains. So like the heart category is what you would think of as social emotional skills. So, and I'm not going to read all these skills to you, but these are the skills that are underneath that umbrella. So that's heart. We have mind, which is sort of like the math, science, cognitive skills. Body is like the big muscle, small muscle, perception skills, and then words are sort of all things communication, talking, understanding, um, all of that. So within the app, there's so many different play activities. So if you went to like themes, you would be able to see play activities for, like for older kids, we have things like superheroes, dinosaurs, outside, just all sorts of stuff that you can pick from and then find activities under those ideas. Um, so like this is an example of an activity, look for letters. It tells you what materials you need. A lot of the activities require no materials because we know not all families have access to a bunch of stuff at home. So you can filter for what materials you have. It'll give you three simple steps of how to do the activity with your child. There's extra tips of like how to make it easier, how to make it harder, what words you can use with your child, why this activity is important, what your child's going to learn. When they're done, they can click "We did it." They can say if they liked it or not. If it was too easy, too hard, just right, they can leave a little feedback here, and then they earn points for every activity that they complete. So it'll say you've earned a sparkle, and then your little rainbow here. will grow as you complete activities. Parents will get badges for doing certain things. Like we have winter activities, and we're going to have winter badges that you can earn for doing winter activities. And we have different badges for all sorts of things. And then as you do activities, you can upload a photo of the activity that you did, and it'll save it in your scrapbook. This is my son, so this is our scrapbook. So you can scroll through and see all the activities you've done and all the pictures you've taken. So it's fun, and it's sort of motivating to like play new things. And I have a 5-year-old, and he is very motivated by the badges now. So he's always like, we need to do more activities to get more badges. So that isn't for kids, but once they get old enough, they start to notice the badges. Um, Also in the app, we have a really big library of parent tips for grown-ups about early childhood. So we have a prenatal library. If you are expecting and you have a baby on the way, the library is going to look different than if you have a baby that's already been born. The prenatal library is all about pregnancy, like newborns, postpartum, all of that, planning for having a baby. And then um, for 0 and up, it's this library which has pretty much, I think we've covered most of the bases on all the things that parents might have questions about. Um, and it's just like really simple, bite-sized bits of information about that topic. It's pretty easy to understand. And then sometimes there's links to outside resources, and they can just swipe through. At the end, there's usually like a very simple goal of how you can implement what you just read. And then if you click We Learned It, you get a point for doing the parent tip. So, and I can't remember if I mentioned it, but the app is available in 5 languages. So it's available in English, Spanish, French, Arabic, and Chinese. So those are the languages we have available currently for families. And then the two-way messaging. So this little Connect tab, families can go there. And if they're connected to 211, if they signed up with that CT code, they can message with the child development specialist right from here. So they don't even have to like make a phone call. They can just send a message right here and someone will get back to them. So they can ask a question about their child's development. They could ask a question about honestly anything. They could ask like, where is the closest WIC to me? Or like, I have a question about housing, and 211 will get back to them. So it's just really, really nice to have that so easily accessible. And then I also wanted to talk about this little project that we worked on with Kim earlier this year. Years felt like forever. I think it was this year. So we partnered with the Connecticut State Library to create a curriculum, a storytime curriculum that would help embed those CT ready to read early literacy skills into storytime to really make storytime more intentional and help librarians sort of learn how to like embed those skills into a story time. Um, so we decided to focus on story time. Thank you, Kim, for the link. There's the link. And you can access the full thing there. We decided to focus on story time just because you guys have consistent access to these kiddos, the regular ones that come in a lot. It's a really great space for kids who don't go to daycare or to school. It's easily accessible for everyone. I think, I mean, everyone is used to the story times at libraries, and a lot of families know about it. And it's just a really great way to model early literacy skills for parents. And of course, it's important to teach the kids too, but I think what we're really trying to do with this curriculum is to teach parents how to teach their kids because the research on early intervention and all of that shows how much of an impact you can have by reaching the parents rather than just the kids because they're the ones that are with the kids every day. So the way that the curriculum looks is basically we tried to modernize the Every Child Ready to Read for today's librarians and families. So we really designed it to help librarians lead like a really purposeful, engaging story time that works in all of the different skills really intentionally throughout. So we did 6 weeks of curriculum focused around a different core early literacy skill each week. So like week 1 is print awareness, week 2 is narrative skills, all the way through up to print motivation. Um, and what started as a joke of like, we should do it all on a theme. Like, what if we just did everything bears? And then we were like, actually, what if we did just do everything bears? So we made this curriculum is themed bears, and with the idea that you could basically swap out any theme with this curriculum for the future. And it's not really about the theme; it's really about the activities and like the skills. And the theme is just sort of something you could switch in and out pretty easily. Um, so each week of the curriculum includes like the same setup basically. So it'll start with the materials you need, some tips for adults. So basically what you're talking to the families about, the important things and skills that you're gonna address. There's a song for you guys to sing. There's a story time. So we suggest books, but it could honestly be any book. It's really um you can really sort of swap things in and out. We suggest an activity that you can do, and then we suggest take home resources. So it's activities from Sparkler that sort of line up with the literacy skills that you're working on that week. So I, Kim, do you want me to go through? I could go to the website and go through some of the curriculum.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
What do you think? Okay, okay. I didn't want to put all of it in here. Let me grab it. Share my screen. Mm. All right. Are we seeing it?
Yes, we are.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay. Um, so you can get this full version in the link that we went to. So I'll just get down to where it starts. So like this is week one, print awareness. So right here we have tips for adults. So it sort of explains how to talk about print awareness to families, and like how children learn print awareness. And then we suggest a little welcome song that you could do. We suggest a story time. So we suggested we're going on a bear hunt. And then we always add in something that you can do while you're reading the book that really targets the literacy skills. So like for this one, this is what I mean by you could use any book. So the literacy skill that we're doing is print awareness. So it's called silly reading. It's an activity in Sparkler, but basically you're going to make silly mistakes while you're reading the book, to help children become aware of like how you're actually supposed to read a book. So you hold the book upside down, you turn the pages backwards, you do things like that, and then the kids are like, "No, that's not how you do it," and that sort of helps them understand like the correct way to hold books and sort of all of those skills. So, like I said, that could be done with any book. We suggest a song that sort of goes along with print awareness. We'll suggest another story, and then we'll have another thing that you can do while you're reading the story that works on that skill. So here it says just like point to the words as you read, which again could be done with any book. And then we'll have things that you can sort of say to the families to point out what you just did. So here you could say, like, we did the silly reading to think about how um, like the different parts of a book and how we use them. Or we pointed to the words as we read to connect the spoken and written words. And then we pretended to read as we sang songs. So we know that story time is like you don't have a lot of speaking time. Like kids are not gonna sit there while you like monologue to families about early childhood. So we really tried to make it like here's a sentence you can throw in that will get your point across to families very quickly. So that's sort of how we wrote it. And then we'll have a little activity that's is connected to a sparkler activity. So it's like, let's make our own bear books. Again, if you were doing this with any theme, any book, you could say, like, let's make our own butterfly books, let's make our own snow books, you know. Um, and then we have a little goodbye song you can use. And then at the end, there's printouts for you to send home with families. So these are activities in Sparkler that they could do that are related to what you guys just did during circle time. So they can just, if you print this out, they can take it home. They scan this QR code and it opens the activity right in their app. And then it's just a little simple activity that they can do um, at home with their kids. Um, so I'm not going to go through all of it. You can feel free to go here and take what you want. And we would love to hear feedback if anyone uses it. We would love to hear how it goes. And if there's anything if you have suggestions or anything like that. Okay, I'm gonna go there. Any questions about that?
Yep, we just got one, Megan, asking what ages is it geared toward?
It's mostly geared towards, I would say, like 2, 3, 4, and 5. Um, but like I did this in the fall, and I just sort of like scaled down activities if they were younger kids, because obviously like siblings come and things like that. So if siblings were there, I just sort of scaled down some of the ideas. Yeah, but the Sparkler, like Julie said, the Sparkler app itself is for prenatal through 5. So it's pretty easy to find activities that would suit any age in there.
I also want to just jump in real quick and say when we were
Hmm.
building this, I really think we spent like a year and a half kind of working on this to get things together. At least that's what it feels like. We did have
Really?
some librarians test this out in their own library. So we didn't build this in a vacuum. We did bring some other folks in and do kind of like a small focus group on this. And the curriculum does seem to work for right? Like traditional library storytime ages. There's some people who do break out their story time, some of the larger libraries, but some of those smaller libraries, it's anyone from like 0 to 5. And we heard good feedback from all of them.
Um, and there's this in the back of it as well. So it's like additional literacy activities for every age. So these are literacy activities that are for someone that's pregnant, a 0 to 6 month old, 6 to 12 month old, 12 to 24 month old. Um, and there are tons more in the app, and I'll show you how to look at them. But this is there just so you know. And there was a question in the chat just about the CT code. So yes, the CT code, anyone that lives in the state of Connecticut can use the CT code and they can access Sparkler for free. So generally that's what we recommend people do. Sometimes people are using different codes, like if they're trying to connect to a daycare or a preschool or their home visitor or something, but anyone in the state of Connecticut can use the CT code and they'll get connected to 2-on-1 child development through that. So I think Kim already put the link in here. That's a QR code just to get to it. But if you, Kim has the link in there, so I would just grab that if you want to go look at that. Um, and then this is the other part I want to talk about. I'll do a live walkthrough of what this looks like. But so how some Connecticut librarians are using Sparkler. So, like I mentioned, the app is for families, but we also have what we call the Sparkler dashboard, and that is for providers. So it's not an app. You log in through like a web address and sign in. It's a dashboard that just providers use. Families don't have access to this. So through the dashboard, you would have access to our full library of play activities. It looks like this, and I'll show you the website in a second. But so you can go here and you can search through activities. You can filter by age, by skill, and it'll show you every activity we have in the app that focuses on that skill for that age. And these are all of the different skills that we have that you can search for. So let me pull it up just so you can sort of see what it looks like. All right. Okay. So this is the library. This is the full list of every play activity that we have in the app. So there's tons and tons. So you could see here, like this is the age range that the activity is appropriate for. So, um, a lot of times you can find activities that are good for, uh, like a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and and it can work for everyone. Or you could specifically say, like, if you know you have a group of like 2-year-olds that comes. You can search for an activity for a 2-year-old. And then based on what skill you want to focus on, you can look for that. So you could look for sounds and letters. And then these are all the activities that we have in the app that focus on sounds and letters for a 2-year-old. And sometimes they're for multiple ages. So you can see that here. Um, and then it is the same for the parent tips as well. So you can get access to all of the parent tips here, and you could download a PDF of the parent tip as well. And then go back.
We see Canva right now. Just, oh, okay, you're doing that on purpose. Just making
That's
sure.
good. That's where I'm headed. Okay. So I think before. You could see like you can download the PDF here. So this is what it looks like when you download a PDF. So if you found an activity that you liked that you wanted to like share with families, you can just print it out. It has a PDF, the PDF right there with the QR code. So if the family scans the QR code, it'll open that activity up right in their app. So like when I was doing play groups at the library, I would just print off a bunch of these and then give them to families as like a take home thing. And so they could take it home and scan the QR code and do it at home. And sometimes I would pick ones that had like you would need a few materials. So I would just like put them in a gallon bag with like the few materials that you would need with this PDF. And then it was a really easy, nice take home activity for families to do. Um, so that is available there. Um, okay, so these are sort of the current list of options for ways that libraries can engage with Sparkler. So, this first option, which is like the very easiest thing that you could do, is just let families know that Sparkler exists. You can give them handouts that have that CT code on them. And they can access Sparkler and engage with it, and you can just help them build awareness, basically, let families know this is available to them. The other option is I could set your library up with a code. So you would have, it's just, I guess it just makes it feel a little bit more special and personalized that families can download Sparkler and then use your library's code. Um, you wouldn't be responsible for anything. Like 211 would still follow up with families. But you would have your own code. And then the other option is you can get your own code, and then I can also give you access to the dashboard, which I just showed you. So you would get a login, and then you would be able to go on the dashboard. Um, and typically the way most librarians do it is they don't need to see like personal information of the family. So like they don't need to see the screening results. So usually the way that I do it is I set up their account so they only see overall data. Like they can see the numbers of how many kids are connected to their library and how many screenings are done, but they don't see any personal information. And then you have access to that library. So you can see all the play activities that we have and print those out and get the parent tips and all of that. Um, and that's pretty easy to set up too. Um, Okay, I think I'm gonna go back. That's most of the content, so I'm just gonna stop and see what questions are out there. See if my video starts working.
We had one come in that Julia was able to respond to in the chat asking if there are flyers to hand out to caregivers to let them know about the app. And Julia let us know that there are some digital flyers, and if anyone wants some mailed out so that you have like something that you didn't print in-house, that is
Mhm.
possible as well.
Yep, yep, definitely. Who do we contact to get our library set up with a code? You can email me directly. I think that would be the easiest thing to do. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. Yeah, if you email me, I can follow up. Sometimes the other one gets backlogged and sometimes we don't see things. So I think it's easier if you just, yeah, if you email me, I can get you set up. Mhm. Any other questions?
I want to say if people are curious about what type of activities are in the database, before folks decide to maybe go in there and poke around, looking at the curriculum, those activities are pulled directly from Sparkler. So if you're wondering, well, like what exactly does it look like? I think that's a place that can answer some of those questions for you if you're sort of more of a visual person, as well as some of those caregiver tips, just to throw out some additional info. Oh, more questions. I'll let you handle
Yeah.
those.
Okay. So you need to have the library code to access the materials. Not necessarily. I could do it in a way where you have access um to the dashboard and your library doesn't have a code. So that would be fine. And you wouldn't and if you had a code, you didn't necessarily have to use it. You could. Um, but yeah, we could make it so that you just use the CT code and I could give you a login as well. Um, do patrons need a code? Yes. So everyone needs to use a code when they download the app because otherwise it just doesn't populate all of the stuff that's in there because it doesn't think that you are supposed to have access. So yeah, just make sure families are inputting a code. If it's CT or if you have your own library's code, just make sure that they're putting in a code to access that. Um, Julia said one thing we've heard a lot from librarians is that families come into the library asking a lot of questions about child development and parenting. So this can be really useful free resource that you can share with families to help them with those questions. Yes, definitely. And it's nice because they can chat with someone with those questions too. So if they're not able to find what they need in the app, they can just message a child development specialist and they will answer them, which is great. Oh, I think the other thing I was going to say, Kim downloaded the app and made a test child, which you can also do. Feel free to create a test child. I think I actually think I created a code just for librarians to use um to have a test child. I'll have to look at what that was because I think I did so that it wasn't like intermixed with all the Connecticut group. I'll find it and I'll send a follow-up email with the
George is
code that you can
real to
use.
me. He's been in my life since 2005.
It's nice to be able to like have the app and just see what families see. So, yeah, I mean, you could use the CT code if you wanted to. I just don't like do a screening because then 211's going to think that you're a real kid and they're going to reach out to you and be like, "Are you ready for your results?" So, just keep that in mind. Okay, Julia just put the website in there. If you guys need that to link to more info. Um, Anything else?
I will make sure to once the recording is downloaded and then uploaded because we do a little bit of work on the captions in the back end. I will make sure to send this the recording if we can get the slides as well as the links that were mentioned. So the link to the curriculum, the link to Sparkler out. If there is a sort of test code that you find, Megan, I
Mhm.
can make sure to include that as well because I know this was a
Perfect.
lot of information, so we don't want folks to have missed any of that or written something down wrong. So all of that can be included in one email that'll go out. We'll see how the rest of my day is. Maybe Friday, maybe Monday. It's December. Life is hard right now. But we can make sure to do any of that.
Megan, um,
Mhm.
sorry everybody, my voice is scratchy. Maybe share the posters or the copy my post posters. Like they're welcome to share those out in the libraries if they'd be interested in
Oh, that's true. We do
some
have a
resources.
lot of those. Let me see if I can get that. Yeah. So what Julia's talking about is we just did a healthcare outreach campaign where we were um, creating a bunch of materials for Connecticut pediatricians. Nice, Brent. So we have a lot of the posters left over from that, which are really cute, and they're just. I'll show you what they look like. I'm almost there. Okay, these are them. Okay, so they look like this. They're poster size, and they're just like simple active like play activities you can do like while you're waiting for something. Like we designed them to be in a pediatrician's waiting room, so it's just like a thing that you could play with your caregiver while you're sitting there together, basically. And there's four different ones, so four different play activities, and then it has the QR code to Sparkler. If you had your own code, you could just write it here on the poster. And yeah, so we have tons of extras of those. So if anyone would like those, let us know and we can share those out because we would like them to find homes because they're very cute. So if anyone is interested in that, let me know. And we have them in Spanish and English.
Do you want to talk a little bit? I was actually looking at that website earlier about the Let's Grow CT initiative.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, we were just wrapping up distributing all of the materials that we had. So we were really trying to focus on healthcare providers because we know that that's like one of the most trusted people in most families' lives is they really trust a pediatrician for a lot of things. And we were finding that a lot of pediatricians and healthcare providers didn't really understand that Sparkler was available, didn't really understand how easy it was for families to connect to resources in the state. And so we were really trying to put together a toolkit um, for providers to have. So we made these posters. We made a ton of these like little activity booklets for kids that have like sparkler activities in them, and something for them to do in the book with the activity. We made these like high contrast accordion, like tummy time books for babies, that were going out at pediatricians' offices that have like the high contrast on one side, and then the back side was activities for the parent to do with their newborn. All of these activities are in Sparkler, so you could access them. Um, we have I think we still have some of these like copy my pose posters that are just supposed to get kids like moving and busy while they're waiting around. So hopefully we've distributed about 20,000 of those materials at this point across the state to healthcare providers. So we're hoping that more people are able to find out about Sparkler through that. This might be good to share with families actually. Maybe I can play this and hopefully you can hear it. We did a video project where we talked to pediatricians, and then we also had interviewed some families that have used Sparkler and gotten resources through Sparkler and just talked about their experience. So this was one of those parents. Let's see if my audio is set up. Can you hear it, Ken? No, I think it's still
No. Yeah, check the
okay.
toolbar to see if there's a.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Got it? Nope. Oh, no. All right. Let's see if it's working. Come on out.
Hi, my name is Karina and I have a 3-year-old son. I heard about Sparkler while I was pregnant during home visiting program, and it was a very helpful app because I was a first-time mom. When I started to do the questionnaire for my son, I noticed that on the answers for him in the gross motor, it was always behind. So I started to wonder like, why is he scoring that low? Is he supposed to be doing something more? When we had our well visit, we had the conversation with the doctor, and I showed her that I noticed that he was not meeting the milestones that were showing in the app. So she was able to do further evaluation of him, and then she referred my son to the services that he was needing, and he's having the support that he needs right now. I realized it was like a relief for me as a mom because I was always having like that worriness in my head about him, and I thought it was only me. But then the teachers started to notice that he was like needing that support. So when he started receiving the services, they saw like the huge difference on how he's doing now comparison on how he started first day of preschool. There's like simple ideas to do, things you have at home, like playing with chalk or doing bubbles. So they just follow the step by step, and it's so easy and so engaging, and it's helping my kid at the same time while they're playing, they're learning, and it's fantastic.
All right. So, and I can share the link to where we have these videos and all of those materials that we distributed to healthcare providers. We are out of them, which is good because they've all been given away. But we do have them available digitally on there. So if you wanted to like print out those little activity books or any of that stuff, you're more than welcome to do that and share that. So I can put that in the chat as well. We can put it in the email also. Oh, oh, you already did that, Kim. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Okay. Anything else I can answer while I'm here?
Seems like we might be all good. And yes, so for the folks who were interested in some posters in certain languages, Julie has instructed folks just go ahead and email Megan directly so that those can be mailed out to you. And I guess that includes posters or postcards. Oh, so the code. So, yeah, is there a separate code, Megan? Do you want to take a look for that it doesn't have to be right now.
We can look right now. It would take me 2
Okay.
seconds. Yeah, let me do that.
Don't be me. Don't put a fake child into the normal Connecticut list. He might have aged out by now, honestly. I can't even remember when I did that.
Am I still sharing my screen?
No.
Okay.
So we'll get that code for you. And I will make sure to grab all this information, sort of duplicating that to put into the email, just for the folks who weren't able to make it, for anyone who closes their internet and loses these links, we'll be able to get all that out for you all. While
Real close.
Megan's looking.
Almost
Yeah,
there.
say if there's one or two other questions, drop them in. While you're looking, Megan, I'm going to share a different link. So Megan and I actually gave this presentation at CLA this past year. And in addition to that, we created a kind of like a fillable link for to go along with the curriculum. So that if folks kind of wanted to follow the outline that we had, they were able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to that as well if folks want to take a look. That's not on any of the public facing websites. It's just something that we did. And CT Lib, look at that.
CT Lib. And I disabled the ASQ on this code just so you guys aren't like confusing 211 with your fake children. So if you're wondering why you can't see a screening on this test account, that's why. So if you did want to see like what the screening looks like for families, you could use the CT code if you wanted to. I just sort of did this so you guys could look at the play activities without confusing the child development specialists.
All right, so I think that seems to be kind of it for the group. Thank you everyone for coming and learning more about Sparkler from Megan and Julia, who powered through even though winter sickness has hit some of us already. And thank you all for your interest. We hope some of you take a moment to poke through the Sparkler app and begin to get a feel for it. We do often get a lot of questions as trusted resources in the state of Connecticut. And we don't have all the answers because we're not medical professionals. But it's really great to have access to a vetted resource that we can share with our folks, so that we're not just sort of Googling and coming up with something that we hope is going to meet their need. So right? As librarians, we always want as many tools in our toolkit as possible. And I think Sparkler and its resources are an amazing one. Sparkler, the app, but also Sparkler, the UL, to as sources that we can reach out to. Asking for some questions. Okay, Smita, go ahead and also send an email to Megan, and we'll make sure that you get some of those for your main branch. Maybe some of the other branches can make use of them as well. So all right, thank you everybody, and I hope you have a really good rest of your day. We're almost at the weekend. Thank goodness.